Hi, this is Nicole McWork with the May Scrapbook Stamping class brought to you by 2peasinabucket.com. This month's class features stamped borders.
This month is all about stamping borders, and I'm going to do something a little bit different than stamping. Like, I do a lot of stamped borders that I guess I just haven't focused on them before, where they're like stamped across like this way. This month I'm going to do something a little bit different, and it's going to be a vertical stamped border that incorporates lots of stamps. Quickly, I'm just going to go through some of the things I'm going to be using. Part of the reason I chose to do a different border is I want to show you some different ideas than the other samples that are going to be shared. Plus, my photos that I'm using, there's not really a good place in this photo collage to do a border that's horizontal. So this is my photo collage. Also, I printed it twice and I cut these pieces out because I'm going to layer them. I kind of curled up the corners. I wanted it to be a more dimensional look. As for my paper, because these are kind of beach photos, they're from my husband and I's drive through Big Sur last fall, I picked some papers that are kind of more nautical in theme, I would say. I guess I started out with the Seaside collection from October Afternoon, which is this really nice red and cream stripe with a little bit of black little ticking in here. I started with that collection, and then I kind of pulled some other papers that I thought looked good with it that didn't necessarily have that beach theme. So I've got this nice red and cream stripe. Then from the Cosmo Cricket Social Club collection, I picked this paper. It picks up lots of nice blues and greens. I thought it was nice for beach photos. Really, this would work for anything. I just really like the colors in this. And then on the other side of this, I just pulled both papers so I could show them all together. This is the other side of this really cool paper. It's this nice red and cream polka dot. And so I'm going to use a little bit of that. Then from the 5 and Dime collection from October Afternoon, there's this really nice ledger paper. It's kind of got blue and green on a cream background. This is actually what I'm going to be stamping on. And then for my solids, I chose this Cosmo Cricket. This is Peacock, and it's the same nice navy blue as here. So you can kind of see now the colors, more of that nautical theme. And then for the base of my page, I just pulled some nice Basil craft cardstock. So this is my these are my papers. Then for my stamps this month, I am going to be using a combination of Technique Tuesday, Studio Calico, and October Afternoon stamps. The first set is this one here. This is the Ordinary Days by Ali Edwards. And I'm just going to be picking and choosing a few of the stamps from this to stamp in my vertical stamped border. And of course, the new set by Ali, the Are We There Yet?, which has lots of really great vacation themed stamps that would work for all kinds of different travel related things. Love this open font here and all the little text, and then of course the script text that coordinates with it. It gives it a really nice look. So I'm going to be using that. I wanted to add my date some way more interesting than just stamping it with a date stamp on this particular page. So I pulled out this Studio Calico alphabet set, and I'm going to use these numbers here. These are a nice size, I think, and I've used this before on one of my From Start to Finish videos. I really, really like this alphabet set. And then I wanted to incorporate, because this is so text heavy, I wanted to incorporate some something else, some other stamped image. And so I'm going to be using this little boy stamp at the bottom of my stamped border. It again goes with the beach theme and works back with that. So this is from the Seaside collection from October Afternoon, and of course coordinates with that collection or with anything else. So those are my stamps. Also, I did pull out a couple of border punches. I'm not exactly sure which one I'm going to use. This is the postage border, and this is a cute little kind of sewn looking one. You can put a pop of color back behind it and it looks like maybe you've stitched on your page or something and it's just a border punch. I really like both of those, so I'll be incorporating at least one of those. And for my embellishment, I have, of course, the Seaside October Afternoon, both the word stickers and the label stickers. I'm going to be adding my journaling on one of these and maybe incorporating one or two pieces here and there. Probably not a lot. This page is very photo heavy, and then it's going to be very stamp heavy as well. And then I did pull out these buttons from crepe paper. One is from the portrait collection and one is from the neighborhood collection. And maybe just pick and choose a few of the designs, or a couple. I probably won't be using much of this, but I thought some of the buttons would coordinate nicely with the colors here on the paper. So I have that, plus I have some Jenny Bolin inks. I pulled the Spice Tin, which is a nice dark blue, the soap powder, which is a nice light blue, and the cough syrup, which is my favorite red ink right now. I really like that one. Also, I just have a nice basic black ink. And then from Stampin' Up, I picked the Crushed Curry and Kiwi Kiss. These just happen to be, this is my favorite yellow and this is my favorite green, and they really coordinate with the colors in that paper, so that is why I picked those over anything else. So let's go ahead and get started.
The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim some of my background papers. So I trimmed this stripe paper from October Afternoon to about a half an inch wide by 12 inches long. And then I'm going to trim this grid paper from the 5 and Dime October Afternoon collection to approximately 2.5 inches long. Now this cute circle paper here from Cosmo Cricut, I'm just going to trim a strip. It's not a specific width. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't cut through any of the circles. And I didn't go with that outside border that I cut first. I wanted the one that had some of the red in it, and that outside border didn't have any of the red circles. And then I cut, I didn't really measure this red polka dot over here that I just cut either. I just needed a couple of rows of that polka dot, and I'm going to only end up using one row of those polka dots. So I'm just going to lay out my papers here and make sure I'm going to measure my photos so that I make sure and have that exact measurement, because I need to trim several of these. The only paper I am not going to trim to the height of my photo collage is that striped paper clear over on the right. I'm going to go ahead and leave that at 12 inches long. So I'm going to trim those and trim my journaling. Then I'll set my trimmer to the side. So I'm just going to lay everything out now and see how it looks before I start stamping. I always like to lay it out first and not adhere anything. That way it saves me a lot of irritation later on, sometimes when I make a mistake or whatnot. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and take stamps now from the stamp sets, and I'm going to lay all the stamps out first, make sure I like the placement, and then I will go ahead and stamp. This may seem kind of time-consuming, but it does save a lot of time in the long run so that I don't have to redo this stamped border multiple times. This gives me a really good idea of placement and how much room I need to leave between each stamp, and if I need additional stamps or if I need to remove something. So this is just one really good tip, is especially when you're working with clear stamps like this, go ahead and lay them all out because it gives you a really nice visual. And I am combining tons of stamps here for my stamped border. And it looks kind of overwhelming, I think, maybe at first, but once it's all stamped, and if you stamp it in lots of colors like I'm going to show here, it really makes that border pop, and it adds a lot of color and dimension to your page without any bulk, obviously, since this is just stamped. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my first one here, and I'm going to ink it up with the darker blue ink from Jenny Bolin. I'll zoom in, sorry about that. And I stamped that. I'm going to go ahead and grab now the stamp that says Road Trip, and I inked it up with some black ink, and I'm going to stamp it right below. And it did pick up my stamps that I had laid out there, which is fine. I'll just pop those back off. I'm going to pick up Vacation, and I really like the combination of the open text and then the very typewriter-ish type text and then the script. I think that really looks fun together. Ali does a great job of combining lots of different fonts in her stamp sets. So I added Vacation in the cough syrup ink from Jenny Bolin, and then the next little phrase using some Kiwi Kiss ink from Stampin' Up. And now the days of the week, I am going to stamp with some crushed curry, which is a really nice yellow ink from Stampin' Up. And then for September, I am going to use the soap powder ink from Jenny Bolin. And I like how you can just grab whatever inks work best for you. Oh, before I do that, I did start on my way down and I decided to work my way back up. I'm a little bit out of frame here. I apologize when I stamped this. I'm stamping that October afternoon stamp, that little boy playing on the beach. There we go. And I'm going to work up now, or maybe I'll go back. I guess I'll go back here. And I am going to do that September with the soap powder ink. And I'm going to add the date with these number stamps. They're from a Studio Calico alphabet set. And I'm going to stamp each number with a different color. Originally, I thought I would stamp the whole year using the same color of ink, but then I really thought it would be more fun with lots of color. And I'm glad I did that. I think it definitely makes that more colorful there near the bottom of that stamped border. So just grab my letters, and I'm just, again, I have all of my ink pads open right now. It makes it easier when you're working on a stamped project like this where you're using lots of ink colors if you go ahead and leave your inks open just for a little bit while you're stamping it. I always just do all my stamping at once, shut all of my inks, and put them to the side to finish the project. There's my last one. So there is my date. And you can see that the stamped border not only works as my title for my page, but as an embellishment. I'm going to stamp this Life is Good using the cough syrup ink. And then I did grab one additional word from the travel set, the Explore, and I'm stamping it with the dark blue ink. And there is my stamped border. And that just really kind of finishes off the page. I'm going to punch a couple of borders using the postage stamp border punch from Fiskars. I'm just going to cut those, do a couple of those, one for the top and one for the bottom. Then I'm going to punch through this peacock solid paper that goes with the Social Club Cosmo Cricut collection. It's a nice solid. The other side is a brown. And I use the end stitches for it. And I'm speeding through this now because I am simply putting my page together. I'm actually adding adhesive and going to adhere everything. So that border along the bottom with the postage stamp, and it is tone on, or the same color. It's the craft on craft. So it's not like a huge contrast, but it gives a little bit of texture, especially in real life. It's really hard to see here in the video, I think. I'm adding all of my paper strips and my photo collage now. And I just didn't push very hard at the top because I do need to slip my other punched border underneath. And then I'm going to adhere this in stitches one right on top of it at the top of my page. Just adds a fun little contrast. And it does give that look that you may be stitched and you don't have to, which I like. add my photo. I did cut a couple of or I printed this collage twice, and I cut those two of the photos out separately and layered them on top. I curled the corners a little bit. I wanted it to look more dimensional, so that's why I chose to do it that way. Add a couple of borders there. I printed my journaling on an October afternoon stamp, and now I just am trying to figure out where I want to put my date, and I fiddled with it, and I fiddled with it, and I messed with it some more, and I ended up putting it somewhere completely different. So anyway, add my other photo there. Yeah, and I decided I really didn't like that. I really moved it around a lot. I don't know why. Add some adhesive to my other photo. Didn't get it quite put where I needed it to go. Those little rolled corners really just kind of add a little bit of dimension. I didn't want my collage being quite so flat. And I'm still messing with that date. I'm going to punch out some circles now from the rest of this paper using a 1-inch circle punch, and I'm just going to randomly scatter them through the collage on the right side of the page. I chose to do that because there is quite a bit of color there on the left with the circle border and then the stamped border, and then it's a lot of photo collage, and so I thought this would just really help move your eye across the page plus add some nice color. I cut a couple more pieces the same width as my stamped border there, and I punched a little half circle, scored it, because I wanted it to look like I had folded it up on each side. So that's kind of just a little faux tip there, and it kind of adds a little bit of something to that side of the page. There's not really any embellishment. So I added some buttons and some little clips and some mini brads to the journaling label. For more information on this layout, please visit 2peasinabucket.com on May 1st, 2011. Thanks for watching.